When I got back from Iraq, I wasn't the same. You hear that a lot. But for me, it wasn't just a limp or the burns. Yeah, those healed. It was the silence. After the IED hit our convoy outside Mosul, everything felt muted. I lost 2 good friends that day. Guys I'd bunked with, laughed with, saved meals for. The only reason I wasn't inside of that Humvee was because I twisted my knee the night before on a shitty foot patrol. Survivor's guilt doesn't scream. It whispers all night long, and it doesn't let you sleep. I came home on medical leave and drifted through the days, avoiding everyone. My mom cried every time I entered the room. I stopped entering. I started wandering. One weekend, I ended up at a little county hobby fair with my niece. One of those things you do to kill time. That's where I saw the table of old radios. Big analog rigs. Dials, antennas, wires. A mess of forgotten frequencies. The guy running the booth had picked up a bunch of gear from an estate sale. I was alone, rummaging through a pile of dark green Army equipment, when I found 2 closed boxes under the table, stashed beneath a folded tarp. The boxes were beat to hell, but solid. Heavy, too, like they remembered being carried through mud and sand. One had a faded stencil on the side, PRC 104A. My gut tightened. That was a Manpack HF radio we used on patrol. Rugged, heavy, ugly, but reliable. The kind of thing that kept you connected when the world was falling apart. I brushed off the dust and cracked the latches. Inside, the radio sat nestled like it never left service. Coil cables, connectors, a faint whiff of oxidized metal and canvas. The vendor wandered over, holding a foam cup. Picked that up in a barn. No idea if it works, he said. That any good? I shrugged. Maybe. Looks military. He nodded like that was enough. $50. Take it off my hands. I handed him the cash. My niece rolled her eyes and asked if I was planning to invade the neighbor's yard. Back home, I stashed it in the garage. Meant to leave it there. But that night, when the house was too quiet and the bed too empty, I ended up out there again, flashlight in one hand, uncoiling cables with the other. The weird part, everything fit. I had a spare power supply from an old battery kit, a high school ham antenna rig in a dusty toolbox. Some online schematics filled in the blanks. When I flipped the switch, the thing came alive. A dull green glow lit the panel. No noise, just static. A heartbeat in the dark. A few days later, Kev came by to check up on me. Retired Army Signal Corps. One of the sharpest comms guys I ever knew. He stared at the unit like it had just spoken his name. Where'd you find this, he asked. Fairgrounds. Old gear table. He ran a hand over the solder joints, the old switches. Then he stopped. Someone modded this. That's not standard military. That's a civilian transceiver circuit spliced into the main power. And this switch? Field override. You could transmit on anything with this. I frowned. Transmit where? Kev looked at me, dead serious. Anywhere. Long wave, short wave, military, civilian. You don't have a license, do you? No, haven't used it. Yet. He nodded, but kept looking at the radio like it might bite. Good. Don't mess with it too much. These were patched into secure nets, sometimes. And if someone's still out there listening, you don't want to be the guy who wakes them up. He left me with that, and didn't bring up again. I didn't touch it for a week. Instead, I walked, just wandered town with my hands in my pockets. Stopped by the Army surplus, the diner where they still call me Chief. Watched kids play in the park. Thought about what Nick and Torres would have said if they'd made it home. My VA counselor, Karen, had been trying to get me to engage. Her word. I liked her because she didn't talk too much. She just asked the right questions and listened. She told me to try doing one thing that felt like me again. I didn't know what that was. But that radio, maybe that was close. So I started listening. Most nights, I'd sit in the garage with a mug of reheated coffee and just spin the dial. Local police bands, random truckers, weird gospel preachers from nowhere. A lot of noise, but also life. I started keeping a notebook, logging weird frequencies. bits of voice I didn't recognize. Air traffic, Spanish chatter, weather reports, old jazz stations bleeding in from the coast. It felt good, like brushing dust off the world. And then, one night, I fell asleep out there. I must have nodded off in the chair, pen still in hand, radio murmuring beneath the static. It had been a long day. Group therapy was heavy. Some guy cried. I almost did too. Sometime near 3 a.m., I heard it. A single word. Gunny. Soft. Flat. Clear. I sat up so fast the chair nearly tipped. The pen hit the floor. The garage was still. Just static now. My call sign. I hadn't heard it since Mosul. No one at home used it. Not Karen. Not even Kev. I told myself it was a dream. A trick of the brain. I was tired. That's all. But I didn't go back out there the next night. Or the night after. And the old weight crept back in. The heaviness behind my ribs. The kind of silence that hums louder than any noise. So I went back. The garage was cold. I brought a blanket. A fresh cup of coffee I barely touched. I turned on the radio and let it warm up. That soft green glow blinked to life. The static was steady. Nothing strange. I spun the dial. Chatter. Dispatchers. A guy listing off-road conditions somewhere in Kansas. A woman laughing. Probably on a baby monitor too close to a tower. Then nothing. Every band I checked was empty. Just static. I turned the antenna. Swapped cables. Kicked the side of the bench. Still nothing. The clock ticked past 3. And somewhere in there, I must have nodded off again, because the static shifted. It thinned, like mist burning off in sunlight. And then I heard them. Nick first. His voice was tired but warm, like he always sounded when we were 2 hours into a night patrol. Hey, brother. Took you long enough. Then Torres. That familiar laugh in his voice. Man, you look like shit. I couldn't speak. Nick went on. We didn't blame you. We never did. That knee? That wasn't your fault. You're still here, Torres said. That means something. You get to be here. It wasn't an echo. It wasn't a hallucination. It was them. Just like they used to talk to me, back when it was dark and hot and loud, and we were scared but together. We see you, Gunny, Nick said, even when you think you're invisible. You carry us, Torres added. We know, but you gotta carry yourself too. I cried. I didn't care. It's okay to live, Nick said. Hell, it's good to live. You've got more in you, brother. We believe in you. Their voices faded like smoke. A few last words. Don't wait anymore. We're good, man. We love you. And then just static. I woke up at the bench. Face wet. Hands clenched around the table. The clock said 4:12. The radio crackled faintly. Air traffic. A CB argument about chicken trucks. The world was back. But I was different. That was 2 years ago. I went back to the VA the next day. Told Karen everything. Started doing the work. It wasn't easy. It still isn't. I got a job fixing radios. Yeah, go figure. I'm married now. 2 kids. My son's named after Nick. My daughter? Torres would have teased me for crying at her birth. The radio's still in the garage. I turn it on sometimes, just to listen. But I don't wait for their voices anymore. I already heard what I needed.